what's up people? Today we are talking about another 4-inch bladed folding knife. In this case it's the CT0452CF. I don't have a lot of CT knives in my collection. I think in total I owned like 4. I now am down to 2. And yeah, this is one of them. And this is also probably my favorite zero tolerance design, at least from all of them, basically. There was a smaller version which is called the 0450 probably, and I had that as well. I don't have it anymore, and yeah, I always like the bigger one better because I think the lines come to a better expression here in this larger version. And it's a Sienkiewicz design. Dmitry Sienkiewicz makes some awesome custom knives. And he has that very unique Russian design language. The Russians made a lot of these frame lock folders that looked similar to this. I'm not saying that he looks like every other Russian designer out there, but he has this distinctive Russian knife design in some of his knives, and this is one of them. So meaning a little bit of a pointier, stabbier blade, and then a curving down handle, most of the times being a titanium frame lock and running on bearings. And yeah, this is kind of old school for CT almost at this point, because this design has been around for a long time. When it first came out I couldn't afford it, and it always stuck with me in my head. I want to get the CT, but I couldn't afford it back then. And a couple years later I could actually afford it, so this is with me in my collection for some time actually now. And yeah, I just, before I started this video, I had a look how much these cost now, and these are pushing the 300 euro mark now, which is crazy if you compare that to what CTs would cost back then. So yeah, pretty insane. But as you know, all knives are very expensive now. Now let's talk about this knife a little bit more in detail. We have a little bit over it's like a 10.3 centimeter blade, which is almost 4.1 inches, but not quite, but almost. So it's a little bit bigger than 4 inches. You have, like I said, you have a pointy, stabby blade shape that has basically the grind is only running up to here, and then it keeps the full thickness of the 4mm spine thick that you see here. It keeps that in this line basically almost all the way to the tip, so you end up with a very stabby but very robust kind of tip. So it is a tactical design for sure, in the blade shape at least, and in general the whole knife is kind of tactical, although I wouldn't necessarily use it for that, but or I personally don't think about it like that. I use it more as like just a large EDC folder, but it has some tactical elements to it for sure. And you can see that in that stabby, robust kind of tip design. And the negative thing of that is that the grind doesn't run up all the way. So you have, because it has 4 millimeters up to here, it is kind of a steep angle. So this is not the sliciest knife at all. It is more robust in its grind, so it's not going through material as easily. You can cut most of the things pretty well as long as the knife is sharp, but it has a lot of material behind the edge. I haven't not measured it with this one, but I'm pretty sure it's this must be, I don't want to guess, but it must be a lot of material behind the edge. This is not a slicer all day long. This is very bad at cutting food, but it is very good at doing general chores. So yeah, as you can see, you have a lot of straight edge here, a little bit of belly, and like I said, that pointy tip. And they put like it's not a swedge because it doesn't run all the way to the tip, but they put like a secondary grind up here that's not sharp, of course, but it is a grind nonetheless. And like if you cut through things, that helps with you have less binding here at the full thickness, so you have a strong blade, but you don't have a lot of binding as you go through material, because that that secondary grind is there. So yeah, and even more interestingly than a blade, I think, is the handle, because it has one finger groove up here that's like, it's like a 22 millimeter finger groove, and then you have this portion that kind of curves, that you put your other two fingers here, and then you put your pinky in that back choil right here. And in pictures I always thought this might be a little bit uncomfortable, but this is so nice to hold, because your pinky has something to hold on to, and it feels very, very comfortable. You got a little bit of concaveness here, so you put your thumb in here, a little bit of roundness here for your palm. So this is in combination actually with the carbon fiber, this is a really ergonomic knife. It feels really good in hand. It's obviously not a fixed blade. If you cut wooden sticks or for hours and hours, and you do the harder work, you will feel it. But generally speaking, I think this is a very comfortable knife, and I just like that choil here in the back quite a bit. No other knife that I have has this, and it feels so nice, so good. And yeah, the front scale is just a full slab of carbon fiber. I actually didn't like carbon fiber back in the days, but I really enjoy it now, because I see the benefit of having a very strong but very lightweight material. And the whole knife is not, doesn't weigh a lot. Even you have a titanium backside and lock, and yeah, like I said, it's no liner in here. It's just a full slab of carbon fiber, and it only has 120 grams, which is 4.2 ounces. For a knife that's over 4 inches, that's a pretty good weight to size ratio, I would say. And the knife carries very well because it's slim. It's a longer, slimmer design, and you have that deep carry pocket clip that hides the knife quite well. So even you carrying a big knife, you don't feel like you're carrying a big knife, and other people certainly also don't notice that you're carrying a big knife, because it hides it hides away with this deep carry clip quite well. Yeah, the clip sits a little bit proud of the scales, as you can see. Not sure why. Maybe I bend it down someday, but yeah, it works fine. It's kind of an old school clip at this point. It's not recessed. The screws are not flush. It's an old clip. We're gonna see this design for years and years to come, but we have better technology now. So I wish there would be this knife would have like a recessed clip and screws, and but overall the clip is fine. It has good tension, and yeah, it goes in and out of pocket fine. It's ambidextrous also, and yeah, tip up only with this knife, of course. And then you have the titanium, that side that resembles actually the carbon fiber. If you see here, the chamfering going on is also present on the other side. And there are no sharp corners on this knife at all, except the edge, but this knife has been rounded out so nicely. So there is, like I said, it's a nice feeling handle, I think. Yeah, insert here as well. You have a hard detent on this one. And I don't know, a lot of people, especially now, detents have gotten really light. So people don't make pocket knives with a hard detent. This is the other CT that I still have. It's the 0707. Gonna compare it a little bit later. Actually, let's do it right now. This is the 0707 is a featherweight. It's so lightweight, but it's also a lot smaller. And this has the newer CT tech in it. This has double detent, and I think has a steel cage, probably a steel cage for the bearings in there. And this one doesn't have that yet. So this is still the old CT technology with the plastic cage. They still make this to this day, and they still make it the same way than they did like 10 years ago. It's kind of crazy. Are they making this for 10 years? But they're making this for a long time now. So yeah, probably something like that. And the plastic cage is in here. I will roll in some inside the knife pictures, and or clips, I should say. You can see that the cages for the bearings are actually made of plastic, and on one side you have a washer, additional washer, so it doesn't rub against the carbon fiber. And yeah, it's kind of an old technology. It's not how we make or people make flippers now. So yeah, I wish sometimes CT would update this knife and bring it the same kind of internals than the other CTs have now. But yeah, like I said, it has a harder detent, and I do like this for this knife because it doesn't open on accident. It only opens when you really want it. And yeah, this knife needs a hard detent because this is a heavy blade. It might fall out by itself, so you don't want that. You want a nice and positive detent. And yeah, the bearings are not the smoothest. With the plastic cages, that's always the case in my opinion. And I get some lock stick every once in a while. This knife is freshly cleaned right now actually, but you can hear a little bit of detent rubbing. And yeah, when I took this knife apart, I also noticed that kind of the tang of the knife is a little bit burnt, so it might be overheated actually, which is why it probably also causes lock stick. But yeah, it's not the to be honest, if I compare this to other flipper knives that are on the market now, this can't compete. This is just old technology. It doesn't feel as nice as modern flippers do, but I guess it's also from a different era. So back then, when this was released, this was, you know, top of the line production flipper knife. But now it's kind of outdated, and the action feels slow. The closing feels slow. It has detent drop, it has lock stick, it has plastic cages, and yeah, it's what I will leave it that it has perfect centering. Every time I take it apart and put it together, it always goes back to perfectly centered without even a lot of adjusting. You just put it together. Doesn't matter how you put it together, it always goes back to perfectly centered, which is speaks for high machining skills in fact. But or tight tolerances, zero tolerance, tight tolerances, I guess. But yeah, it is not the best action on a knife that I have ever seen. So if it was for the action alone, I wouldn't keep this knife, to be honest. It's not that exciting. I only keep it for the design because I like that Sinkowicz large stabby kind of folder with that really nice back choil for my pinky. And yeah, it's kind of unique. It's beautiful in a way. It's lightweight for the size. And yeah, like I said, it's not as lightweight as some of the newer CTs that are out now. They just released the 05? No, is it the 5? The 0545, that's what it is. With the clip point, this size range right here. And that looks really gorgeous. I might actually sell this one at some point and get the newer one. But yeah, the CT prices, man, they are killing me. Both of these knives were well under 200 euros, and now they're pushing the 300 euros. I don't know. But yeah, this is a cool, well-made knife as well. Double detent system. 20 CB on this one. I don't like 20 CB as much. I like S35VN as it is on this knife a little bit better. Although I have to say, it is a little bit chippy on this particular knife. So yeah, I don't know. Even though it has kind of a steep angle, so it's not might not be the best heat-treated knife ever. But yeah, generally speaking, S35VN is a good all-rounder steel. It has usually a lot of toughness, not in this case ever, but in most cases it has a lot of toughness and good edge retention and good sharpenability. So yeah, it's a good all-rounder steel. Stainless as well, so it's low maintenance, low effort, basically. Yeah, the 0452 CF. I will be. It would be interesting to see in a couple of years from now if this is still in my collection, because I have it for a while, and yeah, I'm kind of sentimental about it. I don't want to let it go, even though it's not the best knife ever. But yeah, it is a good knife for sure. It's not a bad knife, but compared to flippers and how they're modern flippers and how they're made now, yeah, I wish CT would bring this, release this again with an update. Yeah, newer internals, better action, maybe recessing the clip a little bit, something like that. They could play around with the colors a lot, with the steel. There are a lot of options, so hopefully in the future we'll see a version 2 of this. This would be nice, and I would definitely buy one if they release this knife again with updated internals. And yeah, if that doesn't happen, I might as well buy a Sinkowitz custom in the future, but I don't know how much these will cost. Probably a little bit more than 300. So yeah, the 0452 CF, great knife, great design. Yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and maybe see each other in another video. Goodbye, people.